Hey, everybody. How's everyone doing today? Good morning and welcome to Coffee Time. I am Rhonda Hullaby, the Mobility Maestro, bringing harmony to managed services. And as you know, I drink my coffee with a straw because that's how you keep those teeth a little bit whiter. They might not be bright white, but they're a little bit whiter. So as you're joining, please do drop a quick hello in the chat and let me know where you're joining from. That would be great to see. And before we jump in, I want to just let you know that throughout this presentation, this little talk, it's 15, 20 minutes tops, you're going to see a QR code. That QR code is going to be a way to connect with me. If anything we discuss feels familiar and you'd like to compare notes on your environment, you can use that QR code to schedule a complimentary 15-minute device clarity brief with me. Won't be a presentation. It's not a sales pitch, just a conversation. I'm going to help you assess your current environment and bring some clarity to your environment. So yeah, just a conversation. Grab your cup of Joe, please, and let's jump right in. So I want to ask you guys a quick question. Have you ever been asked something that felt like it should have been an easy question to answer, and then you realize that it wasn't? Something like, how many devices do we actually have? Or how many lines are inactive? What are we really spending? How much are we spending per line? I'm sure you've had those questions. Who owns the process? What happens if that person leaves? We're talking about a single point of failure there. And how accurate is our reporting? That's what I mean by the cost of not knowing. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Most organizations don't struggle because they lack information. In fact, many organizations, they have more information than they've ever had before. The challenge is knowing what information actually matters and knowing whether it's accurate. You may be thinking we have dashboards, and that's great, right? We have reports, and that's awesome as well. We have systems, amazing. That's exactly what you should have. Most organizations do have that. The question isn't whether information exists. The question is whether leadership has confidence in that information that you have. One thing I've noticed over the years, the biggest surprises rarely come from what organizations already know. They come from what they think they know. And then there's that big surprise when they learn that, no, we actually didn't know that, or we didn't have all the information we needed to have. Stuff like unknown inactive lines, outdated inventory records, ownership gaps, a process nobody realized depended on one person. Like I mentioned, that one single point of failure is never a good idea in a large enterprise organization. And those things stay hidden until somebody, or I should say something, forces them into the spotlight. When you force those things into the spotlight, that's when you see what you're dealing with. And usually that spotlight arrives at the absolute worst possible time. This is what we want to try to avoid, right? Let me share a couple things with you here. Like I said, you'll see that QR code there. Feel free to go ahead and scan that QR code anytime. Wanted to really talk about a couple of things here. As I mentioned, confidence comes from trusted information. So your dashboards, your reports, your systems, and your data has to be trusted. If it's not trusted, you're in trouble. And like I said, even if it is trusted, sometimes the information that we think we know, we really don't know. And that's where those hidden costs come in. It comes in assumptions and blind spots and unknown ownership, missed signals. What you don't know often costs the most, right? And so when you talk about costs, it could be in surprise costs over time. It could be hidden costs. It could be the cost of trying to correct what you learn you don't know. But there are costs associated with not knowing. So have you ever noticed that uncertainty creates more work? And if it's creating more work, like I said, it creates more costs. People start checking, they start verifying, they start reconciling, following up, Building spreadsheets. I know you've seen it. If you've been in any large organization and working on a team where that's accountable for information for any length of time, you have seen this. They're scheduling meetings, they're trying to confirm answers. You're talking about work, 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 checking, reconciling, following up, waiting. A simple answer becomes an entire project. And before long, a simple question also becomes a project, right? So we're talking about hidden costs, not the technology. So can't blame it on that. It's not the carrier, where sometimes people want to blame it on that. It's not always the carrier. It's not always the device. It's the uncertainty. And where does that come from? That comes from not knowing what you have, not having accurate reporting, not having a team that you can count on. And whomever your support is, whether it is a carrier or it is a carrier partner or a managed services partner like DMI, you need to have the right partners in your organization that can help you manage this. And in the long run and over time, you will see a return on your investments. You will see the cost savings from the certainty that you have in place, from the clarity that you have in place, the visibility, and the ability to make sound decisions on the fly because the information that you have is accurate. And that's where DMI comes in. I don't plug DMI a lot because my goal here is not for this to be a sales pitch, but is to give you real, true information. And you gather from there whether or not what I'm saying to you is compelling enough for you to think about considering our organization. Like I said, the QR code on your screen there will give you an opportunity to talk to me. We can do the assessment just to see kind of where things are. It's a clarity brief. What's going on in your organizations? Maybe I've got some questions for you that you've never thought about or you've never asked yourself, just to help you gain that clarity. And if from there you see value in the conversation, we can discuss further. So, what leaders build? The organizations creating control in 2026, they aren't necessarily collecting more data, right? We all got a lot of data, a lot of data, and sometimes way more than we actually need. They're creating confidence, these leaders, by knowing what data matters. So, not all data matters even at a given time. I think all data can be useful, but in its time. And so, some data needs to be filed away for uh, use later, and some data is absolutely crucial to, like I said, making those hard decisions, those decisions on the fly. So, leaders today are creating confidence by knowing what matters: confidence in inventory, confidence in ownership, confidence in governance, reporting, and like I said, in decision making. Leaders, true leaders, have to be able to make decisions, impactful decisions, and those decisions sometimes need to be made on the fly. They can't be accurate decisions without accurate data, because confidence changes leadership behavior, and confident leaders move faster. You're talking about ownership, governance, accountability, and confidence accelerates those decisions. Confident organizations scale better. Confident teams spend less time validating and more time executing. And that gives your organization time to be as effective and impactful as possible, to make the best use of your team's time. Even if your team is tiny, there's still no excuse to have them wasting so much time trying to gather data that's either useless or that should be more available than it is. Like I said, get on my calendar. Let's talk about how we can change that if you're experiencing that. So, you don't want your teams looking at where things are broken. You don't want them where things are the least confident, right? And so let's talk about that. Where are in your organization, think about where things might be broken or where you're the least confident. Is it in inventory, ownership? Is it reporting, life cycle management, governance? Do you have the rules and the guidelines in place? that cover those what if scenarios and cover daily scenarios. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What's bugging you? Get on my calendar and let's talk about it. Like I said, the QR code at the bottom will give us a chance to talk about what you're least confident about. Let's talk about where maybe you should build more confidence. I can give you some pointers on things that you can do today in your organization that will help you guys have more confidence in what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Now, if today's, let me go full screen here. Thank you. Now, if today's conversation sparked a thought like, I wonder if we're more dependent on assumptions than we realize. You are not alone. That's exactly the type of conversation we explore during these device clarity briefs. As I mentioned, it's not a pitch, it's just perspective. If you were able to, and I'll give you one more opportunity in a second to scan that QR code, you can send me a message, you can email me on LinkedIn, but get on my calendar. On my profile page, there's a link to book a meeting with me. Get on my calendar. Or if you know that your organization has these types of questions and challenges, and maybe you're not directly responsible, introduce me to someone responsible for mobility. Somebody that's responsible for things like mobility, telecom, infrastructure, operations, or digital workplace strategy. Those are all good places to start, even finance, because we can help your organization save money. We have helped organizations save as much as 30% annually on their mobility spend. So the best conversations always happen after coffee time. And I want to help your organization be the most effective, most impactful, best decision making organization that you can be. And we can do that by working together. So I thank you so much for joining me. I will see you next time. And like I always say, sips up until next time. Thank you so much.